Hey guys, and welcome to this video on the full moon in Pisces that takes place on the 2nd of September 2020. Thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today. The full moon happens at 6:21 in the morning, and that's based on London time. If you're elsewhere in the world, then take that time difference into account. But I always say don't really get hung up on it. The moon waxes and wanes over a few days, and the energy is really with us over a few days, so don't get too worried about the time zone. I usually say 3 days, so this happens in the morning on the 2nd of September, so I'd say the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of September is when you really have access to this full moon, and you can reap the benefits of this. So I made a weekly horoscope about what's going on each day from the the 31st of August through until the 6th of September, and obviously this full moon in Pisces is in the middle of that on the 2nd, which is Wednesday, I think. Yes, Wednesday. And I mentioned that it's an opposition. So these are the two luminaries in the chart, the sun and the moon, the things that light up, and they're 180 degrees away from each other. The moon is totally lit up, but it forms relationships with the other planets and asteroids and nodes in the chart. So those really influence it, and they influence the energy, so it's important to know what's going on. The sun is at 10 degrees in Virgo, lighting up the moon. The sun is your identity. At 10 degrees, it's I take the initiative. It's like a cardinal mode in astrology. It's about I'm the boss, I'm responsible for the outcome here, and I'm going to take action. Virgo is the nurse. It's taking care of other people because you're diligent and it's your responsibility and you need to do it. It's taking loads of information and breaking it down and making sense of it, and then taking action based on that information. So the Virgo sun is sober, it's responsible, it's down to earth. It is an earth sign, so it's super grounded, practical. And that sense of strength and self-reliance lights up this moon to 10 degrees in Pisces. And that gives you this ability to kind of pierce the clouds spiritually and to gallop off into the higher realms and to really explore. I mentioned that in the other video as well. Pisces rules the 12th house in the chart. So the 12th house, chart is made up of 12 houses, is the final house where the soul starts to look beyond this planet and this lifetime, and it starts to look at the future and the other side and what is coming next. And it's about coming to grips and to terms with the unmanifest spiritual world, because once this life is over, that's where you're going to be living, and that's where the work is going to be happening until you move on to your next incarnation. Think of the 10 degrees here the moon is in as 1, again, numerology, 1, the magician in tarot. It's like the ace of swords in the tarot as well. I really intuitively get a strong feeling that it's almost like a sword that allows you to pierce hidden secrets, which are abstract, unmanifest presences, plural. So they have a life of their own and they exist in your life. You can't really access them, but with this full moon, you're able to either pierce the veil or pull the veil aside, or to have the wool pulled from your eyes, and you're able to see things clearly. And spiritually, you'll be able to recognize yourself and to reclaim yourself as a spiritual being. There you are, I know you. Wow. Check out the weekly horoscope, because I was talking about people who feel lost as well. And that does kind of come across in some of the days of the week because of this full moon. Recognizing yourself and really seeing who you are in spiritual truth and getting the essence of who you are and feeling what that is, and really saying, hey, we're friends, I'm taking you with me, you are me. That's so important, because it really gives you this divine confidence and this divine knowing that you cannot be lost, that you are always perfectly held in the palm of the universe. And if you feel lost, you may have deviated from the story, the plan, but the universe has never moved. You've deviated and gone away, but you can always come back. And that's what this full moon is. It's coming back to self, recognizing who you are. And that embrace of the self, it does so many things. It's like a miracle because it solves a multitude, millions of problems. If you embrace yourself and you make friends with yourself, all of those circumstances that cause you pain are gone. Like if you are fundamentally at odds with yourself and you're like, oh, like for instance, you're addicted to food, okay? And you can't stop. And you're like, oh, this whole food addiction, I'm so overweight, I don't like myself. The whole addiction comes from the fact that you haven't embraced something within yourself that you don't love. It may be difficult to accept. Some things aren't easy to accept. But it's the non-acceptance that has an energy of its own, and it's that feeling of separateness from yourself and the anxiety it causes, that's what creates the addiction. Because that's the horrible, negative, frictiony kind of energy that needs to be muted or filled with food. So embracing yourself is not just a nice little gesture that you can do in a meditation. It's a life-changing event. The freer you want to be in your life, or the more able you want to be to live your life and to have room to live your life, get rid of the partitions and the no's and the padlocked safes and doors that you have placed in your own mind with all the things that you're not allowed to do, that you cannot do, that would make you look foolish if you did them. This is a time where it's almost like we're going through Ariel's cave of wonders here, and we're swimming through all the junk, and you're really able to get to a place of truth within yourself before the job, before the kids, before the divorce, before the major success, before the makeover. It's who you are, who you've always been, who you're always going to be. Oh, I'm so relieved, because this feeling of being lost is really just so destructive, because it's a lie, because you can't be lost. But that feeling of emptiness and aloneness and separateness, it's such a trap. It's so sticky. People get sucked into it because the world seems to reflect it. Well, I'm sitting alone in an apartment. I must be lonely. Well, actually, no. Just because you can't see us doesn't mean we're not real. So, I'm so relieved in the sense that anyone who feels like, I envy those people who have faith or who have a higher power in their life or God in their life. I wish I could have that. I'm incapable. This kind of full moon allows you to see the real you, and it shows you, for instance, in that case, that that's a load of rubbish, because you've always had faith. You've had faith in waking up at the next morning. You have faith in people showing up on time. Just because you've broken with God or religion or spirituality doesn't mean you're not a spiritual being. For me, this is an old topic, so I don't bring it up very much, but if you are at odds with God or spirituality, you feel rejected, you feel like, how could this happen? I can't believe in this, otherwise this wouldn't be real. If that relationship is rocky at the moment, first of all, I get it. Second of all, this is the perfect time to amend that kind of relationship and to get back onto the same page. Because if you're doing it in a way that supports you, having a prayer practice or meditation practice, or you do chanting or yoga, having that in your life, it's not, oh, you're so disciplined, well done, you go to church once a week. It's doing it so that when you close your eyes, you have access to comfort. That's what I got from the Course in Miracles. I don't even know if it says it in there. I've just got this. But that the comfort or the love of the universe is there for you all the time. So for me, I just have to close my eyes and I can feel it right there, because that's how the Course in Miracles kind of did it. But it's such a support to people. And if that is gone, in my opinion, that's more serious than falling out with 5 friends, because it's the relationship you have with yourself. Okay, I'm not going to go on and on, I'm sorry. But the relationship with yourself is super important, and today it is lifted out of the waters like Atlantis for you to look at and see. Make up with yourself, make friends. It will heal 1,000 spiritual maladies. Ceres, the cornucopia of wealth and abundance, is 6 degrees away from the moon in Pisces, and Ceres is also in Pisces, and this full moon is an opportunity for you to be showered in a cornucopia of spiritual wealth and love and acceptance simply by tuning in. So not only are you going to rediscover yourself and be able to say, hello, I'm back, you'll be able to fall in love with yourself for the first time. I don't care. I'm signing up for this. I'm doing this myself. I've fallen in love with myself thousands of times. I've gone to seminars and workshops and therapy, and I've drawn pictures and I've written poems to myself. I'm going to do this again because I still need to work on loving myself. It's not just for me anyway, it's not a done thing. It's a daily thing where I have to keep working at it, and hopefully I'll overcome the next thing so that I can overcome the next thing. Have hope, okay? Even if you're behind, there's always room for spiritual growth, and you are you at any stage in your life. Don't let the outside things label you, like you're a European man, or you're 45, or you're divorced. The spiritual gifts that you receive allow you to love yourself regardless of any worldly labels. The part of fortune, you see that X-Man symbol? It's like an X with a circle around it. That's an Arabic part. It's artificially calculated. I put it in there because it represents the part of fortune of this chart. 10 degrees in Pisces, take spiritual action, so make an effort to connect with yourself, whether you do that by dancing around in a circle, or getting on your bike and making a bunch of noise, or looking at the clouds and seeing little symbols in the clouds, or praying or chanting, or maybe playing the piano is a spiritual practice for you. Each one of us is different, and what I mean by the spiritual practice is basically getting to that place of comfort and just being able to close your eyes and go, oh, this is me, I'm home. That's where you're going to be most successful, so go on an inner journey, okay? If you're an extrovert, if you've never looked inside yourself ever, you're still spiritual. You run on the same fuel that spiritual people do. It's all you. It's all your essence. Oh, so yeah, if you're not spiritually kind of well-read, or you've never been interested, today you will have the interest, and it's a fabulous day to look. And also, for the narcissists out there, it's a great day for you to look at yourself. At least you have an excuse today. Me. It's important for spiritual development and growth. So if you are that way inclined, you like talking about yourself anyway, so you may be able to learn why you are so focused on self and how to overcome the faulty belief of narcissism that you picked up somewhere, and how to let it go. These things are labels that can be helpful in freeing you from something. If you feel like there's something really wrong with you, oh my God, I might be addicted or have bipolar or schizophrenia. When you get the label from the doctor saying, I think you're an alcoholic, I would diagnose you as an alcoholic, it's like, oh, that's a relief, at least I'm not whatever. But when you use these labels as, oh, you're not very socially mobile, then it's used as a label to keep you down and to keep you stuck. And you don't need to be stuck. You can change. You can change your behavior, like the narcissist thing. When I was in therapy, there was the narcissus and echo, and I was echo. And just because I've been echo in my life, or narcissus, or you've been echo or narcissus, doesn't mean you have to be that way your whole life. That's where personal insight comes in, and that's why it's not so fun to dig around in yourself, because you bump into things that aren't so pleasant. But the informed self is much happier and freer than the uninformed self, because when you look at yourself, you don't then go out in the world and you don't have to worry about some skeleton falling out of your emotional closet, because you've had a look at all the closets and you know what's in there. So this is a day of getting to know you. It's reclaiming you, having the most success in life because you make a spiritual effort to connect with that part of you that is the quintessential essence of who you are. And it's just the getting rid of that friction by reclaiming the self. It's taking duality and turning it into unity. That's the whole point of this planet, left and right, up and down. Making it one. By connecting with yourself, you regain your oneness, you regain your power. The moon now forms loads of relationships, okay? First of all, it forms a semi-square with Saturn in Capricorn at 25 degrees. Oh, Pluto, 22 degrees in Capricorn. Jupiter, Capricorn, 17 degrees. The lucky planet, transformation and change and security. So don't worry, this is just going to change your whole life for the better. It will. When you see yourself for who you really are, certain problems in your life are just going to go poof. They're not going to influence you anymore. Like if you feel your whole life, oh, I'm not good enough, I need to kowtow to men so that someone loves me. If you, on this day, you're like, oh my God, I'm an eternal spiritual being, I love myself, the whole kowtowing thing just disappears because you think totally differently. So you don't have to work on your issues. Some of them just disappear when you change your spiritual reality, when you change your thinking. By doing this, you allow the world to bring good luck to you, to bring change, and to bring a new, certain, secure future. So this is life-changing, okay? I'm going to do this again, big time. The things that I want to let go of is this feeling of being separate from other people, like struggling with friendships and feeling a part of something. So what's that about? Let that go. And in terms of relationship, why is that totally no interest to me whatsoever? Why is that kind of gone by the wayside? What belief have I accepted that's just like, well, relationships aren't an option? So that's good for me to look at because I can make relationships possibly an option again, and that would open a doorway of something positive in my life, something to look forward to. So it's important that we do this inner work just to motivate ourselves and to free ourselves of all this depressive cement. And if you, during the lockdown, have been affected by this, and if negativity is built up in your mind, this is the best day to blast that away. That's medical speak. Okay. It forms a square with the midheaven at 4 degrees in Gemini. Articulating this to someone you trust is a really good idea. So your vicar, your best friend, your sponsor if you're in recovery, your partner if you tell each other everything. Do you know what, darling? That's how I would speak to my partner. Darling, sorry to wake you, but I've had an epiphany. Yeah. Darling, I think I'm going to be a locksmith. What do you think? A locksmith. Okay. It's good because you can bounce it off another person for security. That's what the chart is saying. So don't just bounce it off yourself. If there's someone you trust, bounce it off them. Poses the sun. There's so much going on here. There's you can see the chart, right? So all the red, all the squares between the Jupiter Capricorn stuff and Mars and Black Moon Lilith. So there's huge friction there. Then all the squares, yeah, it's a lot. A lot. Okay, so the Mars, Black Moon Lilith and Aries connection. Mars is desire. It's at 27 degrees, which is 9. In Aries, spiritual desire, you have this desire to understand yourself better. The ego is going to try and block you. The ego is going to try and block you by pulling you away and saying, don't go on this navel-gazing expedition. You've got things to do. You need to pay your bills. You need to pay attention to your girlfriend. You need to go to work. You need to work hard. It's like the onus is going to be on you via your ego saying, don't give yourself a break. Okay? Work yourself to the bone. Don't take a break. Be miserable. Work so hard that you cry. It's really ridiculous. The ego is really going to try and distract you through work and through guilt and through staying busy and having to sort things out for other people, just so that you don't realize how strong you are in spiritual truth. And it makes sense because that liberates you from the ego. So this is a real amazing full moon of spiritual liberation, where you can pin down the ego once and for all and overcome at least parts of it once and for all. That is really, wow. So encouraging. Hooray. Any other relationships? A sextile with Pallas Athena at 12 degrees in Capricorn. It is going to feel like work, but it's really fulfilling and it gives you confidence because all of this secure spiritual wealth showers down on you. It's like, oh, I am loved. That's what it really boils down to, that you really understand that you're so loved that you don't need all this bump in your life making it more complicated. Mercury and Neptune oppose one another, so thinking can be really cloudy and fuzzy, and that's why rather than trying to figure out events, figure out yourself and let the spiritual messages flow and listen rather than articulate. Articulate what you receive, so hey, I got the message that I want to be a locksmith, what do you think? But not, this is the will of the universe for everybody. This is just for you to look at. Other people are going to feel somewhat of a distraction from you looking at yourself. So make sure you maintain that balance between the self and still connecting with other people. Don't isolate yourself. Uranus at 10 degrees in Taurus. So the miraculous and unexpected can happen, especially when it comes to love as a result of this revelation. And I think mainly it's self-love. And when you love yourself, the only logical next step is love from the universe, because you love yourself. That's the energy you bring, you put out there. I love myself, I appreciate myself, I've really seen myself now in spiritual truth, so I have no option but to love myself. You know, it's like that Footsteps poem on the sand, you know, like, oh, I pray to God all the time, and where were you when things were so tough? There was only one set of footsteps in the sand, and before there were two sets of footsteps in the sand, and we held hands and stuff, and we were walking side by side. But then God, when times got tough, you abandoned me, and it was just my footsteps, and how could you let me go? And then the answer from God is, well, the footsteps were actually mine carrying you during this tough time. So, you realize that you are unconditionally loved, and when you really, really own that and you're able to exude it, which on this day you are able to exude it, then the world brings it back to you in the shape and form of love. So don't be surprised if something miraculous happens to you in your love life, because love begets love. I love myself, therefore someone else sees how amazing you are and decides to love you as well. That's usually how the world works. Like, you spend 5 hours looking at a ladybird and you color it in, and then you go out in the park and the ladybird sits down on your sweater. It's just a fact of life. And I know that's overly simplifying things. And then things like, well, Greg, I love myself, but where's the love? Why doesn't that happen for me? You know, those questions are valid as well. But the key thing, if you want to have a better life, is what are you bringing? And if you're bringing acceptance and love and this appreciation for yourself, the world is going to react very differently than if you say, I deserve a partner. Everyone else is happy, I should be happy too. You're not going to get such a good response to that attitude. Okay. All right, so that's the chart really. I mean, it's very focused on the moon giving you this abundance and good luck and endless, love, and then affecting your actual physical life, because the perspective is totally different. The physical manifests itself differently. So one of the best full moons of the year. I love it. Expect spiritual gifts. And if you already love yourself, great. Enjoy the spiritual party where you'll be celebrated and you can love yourself even more. You know, I just think sometimes I know certain things about myself that just don't work. Why don't I do anything about them? I often feel like I have the insight, but I don't feel like I have the power to change it. And for me, that's where the connection with the universe comes from. I need to get the power from my higher self to actually make the changes. But sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And I haven't got it down to a science. The only thing I can think to do is to go back to the source and to say, give me the power to change these things. And then it's done for me. So we all have our limitations and we all have things that we cannot do anything about ourselves. Or at least that's what I'm saying. I have it within me, and I'm assuming that you have those things as well. The solution to those problems is to ask for help from a higher power, which you have huge access to on this day and the 1st and 2nd and 3rd of September, because it takes a while. So you can ask for that help, and you can overcome those things that you know make your life more difficult once and for all. And who doesn't want a life that's more pleasurable and more enjoyable? Sometimes we have to make huge changes. Like if you're in a job where you're not paid very much and you're suffering because you can't pay your water, then your everyday experience is going to be colored by that. And if you then really see within yourself that you're this incredible artist, and you say, I'm going to follow this, no matter the hardships, and I still won't be able to pay my water bill, but this has come to me via a spiritual revelation on the 2nd of September, I'm doing it. You become successful as an artist, and your whole financial situation changes, and you're able to pay your water bill. You don't do it because you're like, oh, okay, how am I going to pay my bill? I'll be an artist. No, it's because you really look at yourself without all of that, and you see the truth of who you are, you pursue that, and it just so happens to have a side effect of making other elements of your life which were problematic irrelevant. So have faith in yourself, have faith in this higher consciousness that's in you and around you and that loves you and that is you. Trust that that is interested in you and that's taking an active role in making decisions in your life. Be as present and open to that energy at the beginning of September as possible for the most miraculous results. I'm hoping and praying for life-changing energy to come in and to totally change my life. And just, you know, the whole speaking thing and manifestation, just by saying that, I know it's going to happen because I've said I'm going to change my life and I'm waiting for guidance to change my life. I now know that that's coming. That's all it takes to say it out loud. It's like, I will get the TV show. I will get the radio show. I have got the promotion. I am happy. I am healthy. Sometimes that kind of denial is super important to impress on a really impressionable reality that we've got. Oh my God, I'm talking a lot today, I'm realizing. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to wrap it up. In terms of the chart, do you see the big blue rectangle? It's kind of squished, but I'm still counting it. That's called a mystic rectangle. And it combines energy that usually doesn't work well together. We've got Neptune and Venus, and Mercury, and Saturn and Pluto. So, piercing the veil and loving yourself, and that will reveal your hopes and dreams. Mercury and Saturn and Pluto, being their practical selves, will convert those dreams into steps you can take in your real life, and that's the mystical gift you're being given, that you can transform your life as a result of falling back in love with yourself. Amazing. So it's a woman who really realizes today that she's drop dead gorgeous and beautiful, and that she's got the most elegant style. She's like, I want to share that with other women to make them feel good. She designs all these amazing dresses, and ta-da, next Diane von Furstenberg. There's something here that's kind of like, it's so all over the place. It's super intense. It's almost like a kaleidoscope that you're trying to shimmy to get a real view. We've got a squished grand trine and a squished kite, so a real talent that is going to take off and take on a life of its own. Uranus and Taurus, the Sun and the rising in Virgo. Pallas Athena in Capricorn. So the earthy, unusual ability to make sense of the nonsensical, the miraculous, and to actually harness it and do something with it. Amazing. And that then forms two sextiles with the descendant in Pisces, and it's the chicken or the egg. Because you have faith and trust in yourself and in your higher self, you're able to manifest what it is you want. And it's the other way around, because you're able to have access to the spiritual world, and you can see yourself as you really are, doing the things that you really love, that you are able to embrace it and thereby manifest it. So which one came first? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you have access to the spiritual truth version of you. It's said in a very nonsensical way. You are able to see the true you. You have access to the spiritual you, to the most healthy, wealthy, abundant, spiritual, angelic, wondrous version of who you can be. And that is shown to you, and information is power, knowledge is power, and just by seeing yourself as you really could be, boom, that motivates you like nothing else, because it's like, oh, yay, I can have this amazing, glorious life, and you pursue that. And we all need to see that, because sometimes hope is not easy to come by on planet Earth. And again, my plea is to all the comedians out there, please put your act on television or on TED Talks, because no one is funny. And I'm not laughing. I need to listen to comedians who are funny so I can laugh. There's a shortage of that in 2020. Most of these people are not funny. And we need a bit of levity in life. We need fun. We need to have some fun experiences so that we can believe that life can be amazing. Because it can. Yes, life is hard and difficult, but it doesn't have to be. It can be, you know, real and amazing at the same time. And that's what we're all striving for, because it is possible. And if you feel lost and depressed and nothing good will ever happen again, I'm here to tell you, good things will happen to you in future. Miracles happen every day. The sun will shine on you again. This too will pass. Life will get better. You will love again. And life loves you. You are lovable and you're loved. Wow, this is so intense. I love it. Interesting how I hate the Cancer moon and I love this Pisces full moon. It's just because it's got the spiritual aspect to it. I just adore that. It's infinite. I mean, there are no limitations to that if spirituality is involved. So you can imagine yourself in whatever way you want to be, and please delight the rest of us with you as you really are, because the best you is going to benefit all of us. Okay, enough. I need to zip it. Thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks for listening to my interpretation of this full moon in Pisces. I am genuinely really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fabulous. I hope you have a wonderful time here. If you would like a personal reading with me and you have any questions, so that would warrant a reading. Like if you want to know what to do with your life, what your life purpose is, what you're good at work-wise, what your strengths and weaknesses are, what to do when it comes to your love life, where to move to, when to move, when to invest, when to sell. If you have any questions about your work or your daily routine or anything in your life, then please get in touch with me for a personal reading. GregoryScott.com. Go to my website, and on the front page there's a button you can click on to order your reading with me. In my personal readings, I use astrology, I use tarot, numerology, and my intuition, and I combine all of them to get the message that I need or that spirit wants you to hear. And by looking at all of those things, I can answer all of your questions. To draw up your astrology chart, I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, then go to my website, please, and order a chart rectification. If I can say a chart rectification, just click on the shop tab and order the chart rectification. That's a process where I work out your time of birth, which is super important because the chart changes every 4 minutes. Once I have that, I do have an accurate snapshot of the sky at the moment you were born, and by looking at that, I can really answer anything you're concerned with. I also look at the astrocartography for places to live, the progress chart, the transits, to see what's coming up in future, solar return chart if it's around your birthday, to see what's coming up in the year ahead. But I usually look at the transits to look at what's coming up in the months and years, plural, ahead. So I cover that anyway. Get in touch if you'd like me to read your chart. I hope you have a wonderful full moon in Pisces. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. share it online, and hit subscribe, because there are really lovely people subscribed to this channel, and you can talk to all of them in the comments. And when I come out with one of my videos, you'll be notified. So you don't have to search for me anymore. I'm kidding. No, it'll make, yeah, subscribe. They're really genuinely lovely people on here. It's a great community. If you have any questions spiritually or about your life, or you want support, use the comment section. People are really nice. And get some feedback if you want some. And yeah, have an amazing week. Check out the weekly horoscope video. Have a lovely time. I hope to speak to you soon, and I wish you all the best.